Hey guys, so this is Crypto Man back at it again from the YouTube channel. You may recognize me as such. With this podcast image, you're going to notice something that I've made pretty obvious. I'm BitcoinPoW Helper. You can find me in Telegram, Discord, Reddit, or Twitter. You may know me better from those mediums or those social media outlets. And yeah, just, I got a couple of friends that have been involved in the project for, the last several weeks with me here, some of them since the absolute beginning. Wanted to bring a few of those guys out here, was very interested in hearing about their perspectives a little bit deeper than usual. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to provide our community with, a good grasp of the fundamentals that we've been looking into. We spend a lot of time digging into this thing, very curious about it, very passionate about it already, and it's hardly began. So I just thought it was a great thing to get them on the air, give those that are curious a little more material to look into. So with that, I just want to introduce Richard and Sponge. They've been in the space for a while. I got a lot of respect for all their talents and skills and ambition in this space. And, I guess we'll just start with Richard first, kind of see how things play out. But just whatever you guys want to mention about general experience, your interest in BitcoinPoW, just general background stuff. And, we'll jump right in. So without further ado, Richard, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, I've been in the space for about 5 years. I mean, I've seen every protocol, everything you can imagine. But, Bitcoin PoW attracted me because this is so different than anything else out there. Like, there's nothing quite like it yet. Like, for lots of various reasons that, of course, we'll go over in the podcast. But it's truly something special.
I got to agree. Oh, Sponge, yeah.
Hey guys, so yeah, I'm Sponge. I've been around the space since around the end of 2020. It's basically when I got into Bitcoin. I started off by looking into like Michael Saylor and a couple other like documentaries and series and stuff about why Bitcoin is really bullish and how it's going to take over the future. So I kind of started stacking Bitcoin, and then gradually I started getting into like the EVM chains and started playing around there with the meme coins and stuff. And since then I've built a call channel. I've been like calling like random coins and stuff, but for the most part I've never really actually mined POWs too much. I think I mined like Ethereum at the beginning of 2021, but not really for too long. So my experience with mining kind of really picked up since I got into BitcoinPoW. And yeah, I think it's been one of the best POWs that has ever hit the market. I think it's the most profitable one. We'll speak more about that in the podcast. But yeah, very, very thankful to be brought onto this opportunity. And yeah, it's insane, to say the least.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. So I guess, to start things off, like, we get into a lot of conversation in the background among ourselves, just, exploring different aspects of this project, kind of what makes it unique. Like, my big thing about it is that, you know, there's people that argue that it's proof of stake. There's people that argue that it's proof of authority. And proof of authority is like, a more obscure consensus that's out there. But it seems upon further research that there's nothing that has the exact dynamic at play that's going on within BitcoinPoW in terms of like providing a certain amount of risk reward ratio, depending on the price of the coin at the time that you buy, the transaction fee market, or just the network congestion generally at the time that you want to send transactions, and then the hash rate growth that occurs over several months into the future, because the rate of its growth or decline is going to determine your general chance of receiving any kind of reward through mining. This is just one bedrock of the project, because obviously there's room for, potential like BRC20 like integration. I'm not saying that should be a main attraction point to this project at all, but just as on a fundamental basis, being a store of value and an item of speculation, the mining engine behind this gives it an edge for sure in a market. So I think that the fact that it's strictly solo mining as well changes the entire game. You guys know more about that than I do in a sense, because you look at it from a different angle. You show me things that I didn't know the whole time. And even still, it got my curiosity from the very start. So, again, really excited to have you guys. Just wanted to dip my toes in a little bit, but I just want to encourage you to just, think of it as like like a lounge voice chat or something like that. We're just looking for, realistic, personable, and down to earth kind of discussion about this, so that people listening can just get a firmer grasp about what the other community members are thinking and feeling as we move through this process of, growth, turbulence, all these kind of things. Because I know as the price has gone down the last few weeks, we're looking at like February 6th of 2024. You could probably look at some tracking sites and things like that, and you could see in the last 14 days, we're down a considerable percentage. And it's like, honestly, I've never had a project where I just look at it as an accumulation opportunity and an exciting chance to get in, get a few more transactions, jack my hash rate up. And it seems like a lot of people, especially as far as the mining goes, are following suit in that respect, because the hash rate is still growing, exponentially. But I enough out of this guy. I've said a lot. I just wanted to lay the bedrock or the foundation for this, but really want you guys to take it away as well. So whoever wants to just jump in, no wrong answers, anything like that. Let's just see what we got.
What's
Personally,
fascinating,
yeah.
uh, what's fascinating about BitcoinPoW is, unlike other mining projects out there, like, other proof of work, a lot of them you could just buy hardware and you start mining. But BitcoinPoW is a different story. You have to actually benefit the network. You have to buy coins to mine. And that sets it apart for a lot of reasons. Of course, it benefits the chart, but at the same time, it's also slowly putting supply out of out of circulation, because those coins used to make those transactions are technically locked up. Pretty
Right.
incredible.
It really is. It's almost like a burn mechanism. And what's great is that that burn rate is slower than you would expect, but it's consistent enough to have a really big impact over time. So, you know, Sponge has mentioned this. It's not a concept that I knew of or even looked into at one point, but I know about this first part, where the fees that you spend on a transaction, those recirculate and get distributed through block rewards to the miners. But that 1,000 Satoshi of each BitcoinPoW that you send in the transaction, that is the medium of the transaction, that gets locked up. And it's worth more than the coin itself at that point, because you had to spend the fee, which is significantly larger most of the time than the 1,000 sats itself. You have to spend more to create that transaction than the transaction is worth. So once it's there, people are not going to be so willing to just sell it. And if they are, I almost feel bad for them. But that, with a 21 million coin supply, if each wallet reaches, the upper limit for our recommendation for like 2018 and up models of CPUs and stuff, each core on a CPU, each GUI wallet instance should have about 35,000 transactions on it to be sure that efficiency is still there. So what I think at that rate, and this isn't my original thought, this is Sponge's thought. He hasn't said a ton at this point, but I'm looking forward to hearing his part on this, because there is a
Yeah,
specific
you know what?
amount.
I can take over this part if you want. I could
Sure,
just
yeah. Give it a go.
so just to give a little clarification, a transaction, once it's mining, is called a UTXO. If someone wants to like fill in what that actually means, it's basically just a transaction that's bundled into mining mode. Basically, it becomes more valuable because when you're sending the transactions, you're obviously covering a fee, and the fee is going to be significantly greater than the actual 1,000 sats that you're sending. So when you bundle up with 35,000 transactions into a single wallet, which is considered the standard max wallet by the community based on the throughput and the hash power required to actually mine these coins on the computers, I would say you're gonna see a way larger price than what you're spending now, because those coins are now being mined by your those coins are now mining. So I would say over time there's going to be two charts with BitcoinPoW: a regular BTCW chart and a UTXO chart, because people are going to want to know how much they're spending on transactions. And if there's a future where you can actually sell these transactions to people, you're going to want to know how much you're selling them for.
and there's blatant hints in the white paper that was written by Fluffy, who's the lead developer for this project that we know of. There's a few other people in the background, but he's the main guy at this point, and the face of the development side of the project. Now, he was hinting at these transactions becoming transferable at one point. I'm not a part of the team. I just help out however I can, but it's my guess that he already knows how to transfer them in a trustless manner, which just means that it's like a decentralized, trustless process where you don't have to worry about the other guys stealing it back or falling back on the trade. Once the trade is made, it's done, and nobody can get custody of the former asset that they traded. So my thing is, if that's possible, he's going to delay it. Now, this was a thought that Richard gave me. So he's going to delay it because it creates inherent value for the project itself when the transactions are bound and they're immobile for a set period of time. Once the project itself is more established, it's my opinion that, like Sponge was saying, there's going to be a UTXO chart that's going to basically lay out the value of a given transaction on a 10-minute basis. It's going to be like you can look at a chart with a price where there's a 10-minute candle, and it's going to be a 10-minute candle for the fees, or even a 30-second candle for the fees, telling you what's the current fee being pushed through. And then there's going to be not only a Bitcoin PoW cost representation on the chart, there's also going to be a US dollar representation on the chart eventually, where you can chart the net cost of a transaction. People are going to start pushing transactions on those metaphorical dips. It's going to be crazy how stable this thing can get from every angle. And it's a whole new dynamic. This is why I think a lot of people are going to get attracted to it. It's a much bigger concept than people have been giving it credit for since it launched. And I just want to emphasize that a lot of these ideas were brought to me by Sponge and Richard. It's been a great pleasure to have them around. And I think that honestly, the fact that we were able to collaborate so well on this is kind of a testament to our potential in the space and in this project specifically. But I don't want to go too far into that. My main point of reference and my main point is there's just a lot more to this than I was able to unpack when I discovered it. And I think the more people that get exposure to these thoughts, these concepts, it just speaks for itself, and the message is going to run by word of mouth like very, very fast. So super interesting concept. Sponge, if you want to just give that magic number for us for the suggested or potential amount of 35,000 transaction wallets that can actually ever exist, I would be honored to give you the floor to kind of, give us that number. How many 35,000 transaction wallets could there possibly be?
You can only have 60 million, and at that point, they wouldn't be mining anything but fees from the further transactions. So I mean, at that point, yeah, like we can like say you're an estimate how much the price is going to be at that point, but
Right.
I would say like at that very moment, like 60. I don't think 60 million like wallets will ever be mining. I don't even think 30 million will,
Nope, they won't.
because
But
it's just
here's
going to
the
be
thing.
way too competitive to get that. Like I think people in the future will be looking at 10,000 transactions like, wow, like this is it's better. Like I live in Canada. This is better than Lotto 649. This is better than like any fucking lottery that's in the United States. This is literally the best fucking reward ever. It's more profitable than Caspa at a 1 million market cap. It only has 2.2% circulation right now, and majority of people are literally trying to stuff all those coins into transactions. So and yeah, like the hash rate dropped down to like 54 mega hash from like 67, and now it's all the way up at like 77. It's almost about to hit 78, and
So
at
it's
that
up
point
50% in
it's
like
up
a week and a
50%.
half.
It's been double digit 50% going up every 7 days, and the price is down from $10 all the way to $1.95. And people are literally trying to buy up as much as they can at the bottom, and they're getting stingy. And I've noticed more people getting greedy with this project, which just means it's getting even closer to its floor.
Which is great too. And I'm with you, because that theoretical 60 million, it can't happen, even in the next 50 years. It's impossible. So these transactions are going to get very scarce, and there's going to be demand on the market for more coins to get involved. So if there is true attention on this thing as it deserves, there's going to be an insane supply squeeze on this thing within like 6 months. We're almost going to be glad that the emissions are as high as they are for the next 3 years, because there's just going to be a major squeeze on the supply if we didn't have emissions. So a lot of proof of work projects, they worry about emissions because it's like an inflation rate on the coin supply that can serve as selling pressure. I think by the time word gets out about what this thing is, people are not going to be nearly as tempted to sell it as they are right now, because they just aren't educated about it. And a lot of them, there's a language barrier, so it's hard to communicate with them. There's global reach on this thing already, but I think when the majority of like, the English speaking countries, like, tune into these podcasts, get a feel for it, you'll be like, wow, like, I don't know. It's $1 million market cap right now. We've seen coins that are basically shit on a platter, that have done like 100 million in the proof of work space, and they literally had no concept to them. So I'm not saying that there's price points you should plan an exit on. What I'm saying is the thing's undervalued, and if you want to assess that, you just have to look deeper into these fundamentals. That's all I would have to say. But yeah, I mean,
honestly, there's a ton of reasons for people to sell right now. Like there's like if someone is a miner and they want to actually like make profit on their coins that they're accumulating, yeah, they can literally sell into the multi-thousand coin buy orders that are in around like $1.83. Like they can literally like they can set up bids, they can do all that stuff. Like they can literally get out if they want to. But there's clearly a lot of respect for the blocks that are coming out. 144 blocks a day. So yeah, let's see one. That's 7,200 coins a day that are coming out, and the majority of them are being stacked and rethrown into transactions. So I don't know who they are, but there's benevolent whales that are taking a lot of the blocks and they're keeping it for themselves. So everyone can be scared about emissions when it comes to new projects, because it's understandable. Like when you're mining a new chain, there's going to be a lot of people that hop on it and they're going to start selling. But for this one, it's actually scary how little the emissions are going towards the cells. It's actually scary. We've thickened the liquidity books. We see multi-thousand buy orders. There's so many ways for people to sell thousands of coins into the charts, and they're not doing it. There's a straight disconnection and like this. I'd say a disconnect between the community when it comes to the price, because there's a bunch of buyers that want it cheap, and there's sellers that want it for like $8 a coin. So there's a complete separation within the community. It's wild to see. I have not seen a community actually disagree this much, because I haven't been a part of PoW this early, but I've also never been a part of something that can generally and theoretically replace Bitcoin. Because like, it's stupid to say that about anything else. The only thing I can go above like speculative price above Bitcoin is probably like Hex, because it already reached like a third of it, like Bitcoin's price at one point. A quarter or like a fifth, which is impressive. But
very impressive.
for another PoW to come into this place and say, hey, I'm gonna try to take Bitcoin's spot, is ballsy. Like I've never seen another fork. I haven't even seen BSV come this bullish in my own mind, even though like Craig could sign the keys if he does, cool. Even then, I would still think this is better than BSV and BTC. They're both garbage.
Yeah, there's not much to them. There's nothing really too unique about them. I mean,
There's nothing to them at all. It's literally just you can set up a machine and mine it. It's so attackable. If people wanted to attack Bitcoin, they could. But the thing is, they can't attack BitcoinPoW because one, you'd have to market buy all the coins, which would push the price up too high. Second, you'd have to hope that the people that are causing the emissions right now are going to sell. They're not. They're building infrastructure, which means they're getting stronger. So you have less buy pressure. You have less sell pressure. It's actually like that, and that's the reason why people are not fucking attuned to why people are basically mining their own blocks and shit. They're protecting the chain. They don't want this. They don't want this baby 51% attack. It's the same reason Richard Hart has an OA address and holds 90% of the coins. Oh, sorry, someone else, not Richard. Not Richard.
Not our Richard, and not Richard
Richard
Hart either. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's obvious what's happening here, and people don't want to see it. there's a lot of stuff that can't be said, obviously, but this, this is gonna be a fucking ride, and it's not like I said, I posted on my call channel earlier today. I can post shit coins. I can post shit. Majority of the shit that I post fucking never exists after a year, but this shit will literally last forever. This will be the only coin that I post that you can actually go in and put a fucking dollar and see like 4,000 later and be like, how come this never disappeared? Like you can actually go back to a balance in 3-4 years. You'll actually be able to mine this and be looking forward to a halvening. Like,
yeah, dude, like that's something I want to mention too, is that the hardware electricity costs are so low. Once you pay the coin cost to start mining, you have no reason to turn your rig off, because it's going to cost you like $4 in electric a month to mine. So the majority of the cost is up front. So everybody's going to want to keep mining it. And it just drives the value and adoption of it further, because the cost is up front. Once people get in, they're compelled to support the network. They're compelled to basically advocate on the behalf of the network. It's a very big snowball effect. And I think that when you realize that the upside, once you pay the transactions and accumulate the transactions, the upside of mining, you might not hit a block on a 35,000 transaction wallet more than once a year, once the hash rate really goes nuts in the next 12 to 16 months. However, when you do hit a block, it could be worth $5,000 to $10,000 potentially, which is a crazy thought. And I know it's a little far reach right now, but it's really not that hard to believe. And there's going to be people willing to mine for a year to do that, because I know people that only mine like 40 to 60 cents, 0.5 US dollars a day. That's about $150 a year. You're telling me these guys could potentially hit a block for 5 or 10 grand by just leaving a CPU running? It's not an ASIC. It's not a GPU. It's not going to consume a ton of power. And honestly, if you're not cramming a computer with tons of wallets and you're just running one or two, you're not going to be slowing your computer down at all. I mean, 70 to 100,000 transactions is not going to impact a processor speed to nearly the extent that any other kind of mining would. So all around, it's a very appealing model to me. I don't know what you guys have to say in response, but I feel
oh,
like I've said my
I would
bits.
say, when you're making right wallets, I would create more than 5, close to 10 receiving addresses for each one. Because when you fill that up with 35,000, it's going to be 3,500 that goes to each wallet, and you can dump the priv keys for each one of those separate wallets. So that's 10. That's one wallet that'll have 10 keys. If you wanted to, and your computer starts getting slow, you can just slowly start shaving off all those priv keys. And since you'll have them, you won't lose those transactions. You can just throw them to a weaker computer, or you can just upgrade to newer hardware. I would
That's a,
say,
yeah.
since it's solo mining, if you get in early, the train is not that fast right now. If you literally sell a block, you can get hardware. Yeah, the hardware can literally hold a wallet. So you hit a block, you have another 1 or 2 wallets you can buy with in hardware,
Right.
and then you can fill. So like you can decide however many blocks you want to keep and sell. But that's only if you want to actually use this project to build your bag. Like for me, I just sold all the other dog shit. Like if it wasn't pulse change stuff or related stuff, I sold it.
Right. And it makes sense to do, honestly, at these kind of prices, when you know what it's capable of. It's not financial advice. I don't want to tell anybody exactly what to do with their money, but if you have a few bucks to spare, or if you're holding a bunch of garbage, like, it's not a bad idea to kind of rotate, especially with something that's only $1 million market cap, with this kind of groundbreaking new concept. So for all the reasons we've already discussed, and with so many other things that are worth bringing into this conversation, it does begin to speak for itself. It's just that sometimes you need people to open your eyes to what it's saying. But once you see it, it just starts to speak for itself, and that's what I love about this. So, Richard, if you had any input on a few of these concepts, I would love to, have your take on a few of these ideas as well.
Well, like Sponge was saying earlier, like, because of course I called it on my call channel as well. This is literally going to be the biggest call that we ever do. This is the peak. There won't be
Right.
anything bigger than this, in my opinion. But
Right.
yeah, hardware is the way to go. Upgrading TX is the way to go, because these TXs last forever. And the thing is, even if something were to happen, you have all that hardware. Your profit was sealed. It just
Right.
makes them make sense. But yeah, your TXs last forever. That's the thing. You spend the money, you get 35K transactions. That's yours. Those don't expire. They don't go away. It's pretty incredible. Like
That
you
is
could potentially be setting yourself up for passive income for the rest of your life.
right.
That's nuts.
It
Like
is
That is
passive income for the rest of your life because the average enjoyable lifespan is about like 65 years, like that you'd enjoy.
true.
If
Right.
Bitcoin's already been around for like 15 years and it's going to continue to keep giving people profit. So if something trails just like Bitcoin, it's not another shitty fork that skips block like BSV, BCH, B Gold, or whatever the fuck those other ones are that are trash. This is a legitimate one. This is like a really, really good one. We didn't skip blocks. We literally started at block 0. Like
right.
we did, like, there was implements to not destroy the chain, but Satoshi holds 2 million Bitcoin. There's certain things that you need to do to protocols to protect them, and it's obvious and prominent that, or sorry, not prominent, it's obvious and in plain sight what's happening in terms of protecting the chain, and it's phenomenal. Like, the people that are actually backing this project are going to take this to the stars, whether we are part of it or not. So that's just how it is. People are just adopting this like it's the next
uh,
best thing.
absolutely. Like if Bitcoin Cash, which is garbage in comparison to this, if Bitcoin Cash can hit 3,000 a coin, there's no reason this can't do the same. I really feel this protocol is so superior to what that is and all these other crap Bitcoin forks that are somehow in the CMC top 100. Like it's nothing is this groundbreaking or this innovative. Like I've literally showed this project to people that never touched a proof of work coin in their life, and they literally tell me flat out, "This is I could tell this is something special just by looking at it." Like it's
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen a project like this. I really haven't, and seen how people react to it.
That's the huge point to drive home, is how much it can speak for itself. Because you look at this industry, predominantly people have to push an idea, and honestly, like, I feel like as we are in the moment, we're just talking about it. I mean, you can prove anything we're saying, and it's all unique stuff. It's all new variables in the equation. Most developers are desperate to find concepts like this or to even invent them. I mean, you're looking at basically somebody's crypto equivalent of inventing television or the internet or the automobile or something. And that might be a little bit out there, that might be a little bit of a far reach, but you look at like horse and carriage, and then you look at like the first diesel engine, and you're looking at like a step between Bitcoin and BitcoinPoW. It's like they were on the right track, they had a good concept, but like we're looking at something potentially bigger that took like 15 years in the making to get underway. And the way I see it, there's people in the background that are really going to play ball with this thing. I mean, the hash rate is up 50%, and it was already fairly high about 2 weeks ago. And, the price has been declining, but these people, they took a step back on volume and everything, and they're setting these bids low. Like, they're playing this proper. Like, I like to see where things are going right now, because what it looks like to me, when you compare the hash rate, the transaction cost, and the coin US dollar value at the moment, um, there's stuff we just don't know. Like, these people are not, they're bluffing on what they're willing to pay for the coin, because they know that there's an uneducated portion of this community willing to sell at really ridiculous prices. And they know that they want to take this somewhere. They're trying to get as much as they can, and they're playing fair. There was no pre-mine or anything. I really think every coin they're getting, they're handling appropriately. There's different reasons for pre-mines, but in this case, it was a really bullish choice to just say they're not going to do that. So a lot of things about this, I'm just liking the look of the behavior of the chart, the behavior of the hash rate, the sentiment within the chat is extremely diverse. There's a lot of people that are bearish. There's a lot of people complaining that just don't know, and that were interested initially, but just have no concept of what's happening. So then you've got other people like us that are just kind of in the background, like, holy shit, like, there's only, so much that these people could handle at once, in terms of like really tuning into what they're looking at. So it's big to me. I'm really happy. I have a lot of people I care about involved. I just wish that they were a little more educated about what it is. So it was one of my motivations for making this video because honestly, like, a lot of people that don't have a ton of experience, they just look at like the surface level stuff and they refuse to even take, one step deeper into the fundamentals. And every step of the way that we've started digging, we've been finding gold and diamonds and rubies and emeralds. Like there's just gems all over the place that build the fundamentals of this thing out. So no, I'm really excited. I'm really happy that we got to do this podcast. I don't know if you guys want any closing thoughts. I'm just winding down a little bit. I think this was a great introduction, kind of a first glance at, what we're trying to explain, what we're trying to educate people about, and just what they're involved with this early on. But I think there'll be room for more specific topic conversation within each PoWcast or podcast over the next few weeks or months. I really enjoyed tonight. I think it may seem like I'm cutting it short, but I think there's a lot more topics that we can put out. A shorter video is a better video in the sense that more people are willing to tune in. I know we're coming up on about 35, 37 minutes or something. So I think if we keep it in this time frame, it would be great. And I got a friend of mine who I want to bring in on the next one. I'm really excited about that. If you guys have any closing thoughts, let me know.
Yeah, honestly, I think just because this is the first one, I think just like we haven't even really been able to like cover too many things just yet. I mean, we covered the ground floor, but there's like a lot of stuff to cover about this project. Like,
Oh
to be
yeah.
honest, we didn't really get into how quickly this thing like got like off the ground. We didn't really get into when it started. So this started in the middle of December, and the only reason why me and BitcoinPoW helper found this is because he was talking about like mining some sort of coin before like me and him were mining basically like you know uh some random like POWs on uh what's it called, Bitcoin Talk, and we were trying to find one. We missed Carlson. I was really upset that we missed Carlson, and I said, Crypto Man, we have to find a good one. Like, we have to find the next Carlson because I don't want to miss it. And the only reason why I was upset about the Carlson one was because he was messaging me 7 days before saying he's trying to set it up on his computer. And if I just saw that message instead of degenning on shitcoins, I would have actually like probably helped him find it. We would have been able to get in. So I said firmly, we're not going to miss the next one. And I remember him specifically messaging me saying, you never know, something crazy might pop up on that website. It always do. They always do. And then we
Yeah.
found BitcoinPoW.
Crazy. And we got
He
it
found
like,
it, not me. He got me into it.
right? No, but Carlson did a 250x from the prices that it was being traded at over the counter on their Discord server about 3 weeks later, and I never got the mining set up. And I could have scooped like $500 worth, done like at least 150x on it. It was a crazy play, but I don't think we've seen nothing yet, especially in lieu of seeing this thing emerge and come to be and begin to mature. It's very, very exciting. It was almost like Carlson was a mere glimpse or a foreshadowing of what we're in for at this point. So I think the right
Honestly,
lesson was
I
learned.
think missing Carlson on your end was a blessing in disguise, because if you took that 100K, you may have walked away with a little mini vacation and missed BitcoinPoW completely.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree.
Because dude, like there's two value propositions with this chain now. There's transactions and there's coins, and with miners you collect both as you keep expanding, which makes you even stronger, which makes the chain stronger, which actually increases the like overall value consensus of the chain, because you're not just putting a proposition on the coins. Now there's two different values. You have to ease your way in with more money, like
Right.
those it's kind of like supercharged computers, because you have to supercharge them with transactions. Before they have transactions, they're kind of worthless. They're just regular hardware.
Right.
It's just Bitcoin mining hardware trash.
Right.
Yeah, it's thank God we were mining this before it even had a value.
Yeah.
It's pretty
People were
insane. Like,
people were OTCing at $1, and then like on live trading when we finally saw it get listed on Expatron, a very obscure ghost exchange, kind of a dead space. Uh, we started quickly becoming the highest volume performer on there, but additionally, um, it dropped quite a bit from $1, and then proceeded to gain trust and recognition. And we saw it go from like 50 cents to like $10 within 10 days. So it was crazy. We needed a little bit of a pullback, but I mean, yes, we were mining it before it had any established value by a trustless consensus platform like an exchange site. People were just throwing numbers out like, oh, I'll do it for $1 a coin. I'll do it for 70 cents, 60. I think the cheapest I got 60 cents a coin. From one guy, I bought about 100 coins for $60. So that was a good deal for sure. We've been out here though. I mean, it's hours and hours of research. It's helping out in the chats, like helping people get online. Like the majority of us are here about half the day, and then we're also accumulating. So it's a full-time gig when you see it for what it is. And I think it's just consequential that we're going to find other people that take it just as seriously when we're sitting at $1 million market cap. So it's a hell of an opportunity, and I don't say that often. So um, very excited, very cool to see how far it's come already. Much cooler to know where it's headed. So guys, I hate to cut it short. There's a lot we haven't gone over, but I just think we can maybe even make another one in the next 2 to 3 days, another podcast where we can delve into specific topics. We might even be able to work on laying out different topics, covering several of them in each video, kind of lay out the groundwork for the next several weeks. If any of you guys in the comments section want that, are looking into that, please just submit a comment. Hey, it would be cool if you guys keep this up, have more frequent updates. We go into X, Y, and Z concepts. If you have concepts you want us to go into, feel free as well. But yeah, no, Richard, Sponge, really appreciate your time. Hope we can get a little bit more of this conversation rolling the next several days.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to the next one.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. Same.
All right. See you guys.